Something feels different the moment you settle into the softness around you. The room hasn't changed, the night hasn't shifted yet. There's a subtle stillness that wasn't here a moment ago. A hush so complete, it almost feels intentional, as if the world has paused just long enough for you to notice a quiet truth beneath it. The darkness rests gently against your skin. It doesn't press or pull, it simply waits, leaving you with the sense that something far beyond this room is leaning closer, curious, almost whispering. A faint warmth lingers behind your eyelids, not from the lamp you turned off earlier, but from something older. A warmth that has touched every ocean, every forest, every generation before you. A warmth that comes from a star you've watched all your life without really knowing what it holds inside. High above beyond the soft shell of Earth's atmosphere, that star shimmers with a calmness that hides its deeper motions. From here, it looks steady, predictable, almost gentle. But tonight, if you could listen the way satellites do, you might sense a restless tremor beneath its glow. NASA's SDO watches the sun with unblinking attention, capturing the rise and fall of its surface like breaths of fire. Solar Orbiter glides through the star's extended atmosphere, photographing currents of plasma that twist like illuminated smoke. Even Parker's Solar Probe, skimming dangerously close to the sun's outer layers, can feel subtle shifts in the solar wind shifts that hint at a story unfolding beneath the light. You're not meant to hear any of this, and yet something inside you responds to that distant motion, as though a small part of your awareness has always been tied to the star that shaped your world. Before we begin, if you find comfort in these quiet journeys, you might like to stay a while. You can gently tap the like buttons, subscribe if you'd like more stories, told softly, and ring the little bell, not for noise, but so the next quiet night can find you again. Now, let's drift. Your breathing steadies, blending with the hush surrounding you. The night grows deeper in texture, not heavier, just wider, a space where thoughts soften and curiosity rises without urgency. The sun in your mind's eye begins to take shape again. Not the flat circle you drew as a child, but a vast sphere of moving fire, where light is born in layers deeper than imagination usually travels. Scientists suggest that beneath the glowing surface, rivers of plasma swirl in complex patterns driven by heat so intense it would unmake anything you've ever touched. These currents twist into magnetic ropes, each one carrying tension like a story waiting to be told. Most days that tension stays buried, held in balance by the star's enormous gravity and rhythm. But balance is a fragile thing. Even a star forgets to hold still sometimes. Imagine just for a moment what it feels like when one of those magnetic threads rises upward, carrying energy from the depths toward the surface. It moves slowly, almost shyly, as though trying not to disturb the millions of kilometers of plasma above it. Yet the moment it touches the outer layer, the light around it bends and a shadow blossoms where brightness once lived. From Earth, that shadow appears as a sunspot, small, dark, harmless looking. But up close inside that darkness, the magnetic field is stronger than any force you've encountered in the quiet human world. Particles scatter, heat shifts direction. Loops of plasma stretch into the star's sky, glowing in soft arcs of gold and white. There is a kind of fragile elegance in that chaos, a rhythm, a pulse. Each shift in the sun's surface feels like a confession, a brief moment when the star reveals more of itself than it usually allows. You breathe slowly, letting that image settle, not as something frightening, but as something alive, a presence that has accompanied you since long before you learned the word light. The warmth you feel on your skin each day is the calmest version of the sun's power, a softened echo traveling across space to reach you gently. But the star behind that soft glow holds storms vast enough to reshape entire magnetic fields, storms that satellites track with quiet patience because even small changes can ripple across Earth in ways you never see. As your awareness drifts deeper into the night, you begin to sense that the space between you and the sun is not empty at all. It's filled with streams of charged particles rushing outward in every direction like silent breaths. Some flow past Earth, harmlessly gliding along the invisible shield of our planet's magnetic field. Others carry whispers of something brewing, a tension gathering in the sun's interior, waiting for the moment it becomes too strong to stay hidden. You don't feel the wind of those particles. You don't see the pattern satellites record, yet the idea of that distant motion sits beside you, now calm, patient, unhurried. It reminds you how connected everything is, your breath, your pulse, your quiet presence in this room, all sustained by a star that burns with both peace and restlessness. In this soft hour of the night, when the world asks nothing of you, you can allow your mind to drift closer to that distant fire, not in fear, but in wonder. The sun isn't raging tonight. It isn't breaking or exploding. It's simply shifting, rearranging its magnetic threads in ways scientists are still trying to understand. Some believe these changes mark the beginning of a new phase in its long cycle. Others suggest the patterns are unusual, hinting at deeper motions rising from within. Whatever the truth is, it moves quietly through space, reaching you not as noise, but as a feeling, the faint sense that something ancient is preparing to reveal more of itself. You let that thought drift through you like light passing through water. Not sharp, not urgent, just present. And in the gentle silence that follows, you begin to sense the opening of a story, much larger than this room, much older than the world beneath your feet. A story carried by the star that has always watched over your mornings and colored every beginning you've ever known. Tonight that story opens softly, and you step toward it unhurried, quietly ready to listen. Something in the quiet you're resting in keeps unfolding, and from within, that unfolding a gentle awareness rises as though the light of the sun is leaning toward you with a truth it rarely shows. It doesn't arrive as brightness or heat. It slips into you like a subtle realignment, a soft rearranging of your attention, as if the universe is clearing a small space for something you're finally ready to feel. The image of the sun you carried from the last moment lingers, not the childish circle of yellow, but the immense sphere of motion you sensed beneath its calm face. That motion doesn't fade as you breathe. Instead, it grows clearer, revealing threads you hadn't noticed before, threads that seem to curl, spiral, and shimmer beneath the surface. Scientists suggest these threads are magnetic fields rising through the sun's layers, born in the deep convective zones, where heat and motion twist plasma into enormous loops. You imagine them stretching slowly upward, not with violence, but with intention, searching for a place to break through. The thought settles softly in your mind. A magnetic field is invisible, yet here it feels almost tangible, like a faint hum at the edge of perception. You don't hear it, but you sense its presence, steady and patient, shaping the sun from the inside out. NASA's helioseismology data reveals the hidden layers of that inner world. Waves ripple through the sun's body, the way sound moves through air, carrying information about regions too deep for any spacecraft to touch. Those waves reveal shifting patterns, currents speeding up, slowing down, slipping past one another like massive rivers beneath a glowing sea. As that knowledge brushes against your awareness, you begin to feel the sun not as a distant star, but as something almost close enough to touch a living sphere of motion that has been speaking through light all your life, even when you weren't listening. Your breath drifts slower. The room around you feels wider. The quiet begins to shape itself around the story the sun is trying to tell. Imagine one of those magnetic loops rising through layers of plasma. It climbs for days, sometimes weeks, carrying heat and tension toward the surface. When it finally reaches the outer layer, it pushes aside the glowing material, creating a darker region shaped by force rather than light. That dark region, the one you saw form in the first chapter of this journey, isn't absence. It is concentration. A knot of magnetic energy so strong, it cools the surface around it, making the spot appear shadowed, even though it pulses with unbelievable strength. NASA's Solar Dynamics Observatory has watched these regions form thousands of times, capturing the graceful rise of magnetic arches, their tips glowing in ultraviolet light like bridges made of fire. You sense one of those arches now, not visually, but in the widening stillness behind your thoughts. It curves upward in your imagination, lifting from the sun's surface with a softness that contradicts its power. Plasma follows the arch-charged particles sliding along magnetic lines, the way water clings to the curve of glass. They glow in shades you've only seen in telescopic images, soft, gold, pale, violet, shimmering white. The motion is slow-looping, tender in its enormity. It feels strange, almost intimate, to think of a star performing such delicate gestures. As your awareness rests inside this image, the arch grows brighter, lifting higher, carrying a sense of tension that isn't threatening, but alert, as though the sun is gathering its thoughts. Some believe this tension builds for hours or days, knitting energy into a tight configuration, waiting for the moment when everything becomes too tangled to hold together. You feel that moment approaching not as fear, but as anticipation, a quiet recognition that even stars reach tipping points. The air around you seems to hush deeper, as if listening with you. You imagine particles vibrating along the magnetic loop, their paths shifting their speed, rising their interactions, accelerating in ways only plasma can. Then something small changes, a tilt, a twist, a subtle misalignment in the magnetic structure. The sun reacts instantly. Magnetic reconnection. A process NASA has studied in solar flares and auroras alike begins to unfold. Two magnetic fields snap into a new shape, releasing stored energy in a burst, faster than thought. A burst bright enough to reach Earth in moments. You don't see the burst yet. You only feel the sun preparing for it, gathering itself in silence the way a deep breath gathers before being exhaled. A warmth flickers behind your chest. Not physical warmth, but the awareness of something immense shifting in the dark of space. You imagine how electrons accelerate, how protons scatter, how photons erupt from the magnetic tangle racing outward at the speed of light. And even though your mind knows this is happening millions of kilometers away, your body rests inside the stillness of it, as if the quiet around you is echoing that release in slow, gentle motion. Scientists suggest that each flare tells a story not of destruction, but of a star trying to find balance again, rearranging itself after holding tension for too long. You let that idea settle inside you. There is comfort in the thought that even the sun must let go. Light from the flare travels toward Earth, crossing space in 8 minutes, arriving not as heat, but as a whisper in ultraviolet and X-ray wavelengths. Satellites register the change, instantly adjusting or shielding themselves with practiced calm. Earth's atmosphere absorbs most of it long before it can reach you. You breathe a little deeper, and the image shifts softly around you. Above the sun's glowing surface, the magnetic arch begins to waver, its shape stretched thin by the energy release. Some arches collapse gently, folding back into the surface like dimming embers. Others grow unstable, their roots pulling apart their tension, rising toward a second, deeper release. In the quiet of your room, you sense that deeper release forming a coronal mass, ejection gathering weight, a slow surge of plasma lifting in the star's atmosphere. But it doesn't rush. It lifts with ceremony like a tide deciding to rise. You follow its motion inwardly, feeling how the sun's hidden forces shape everything it does, how invisible fields organize the chaos into structures both wild and precise. Those forces begin to reveal themselves to you now, not as equations or diagrams, but as motion, as breath, as the subtle pulse that threads through the story you've been drifting into. The sun in its vastness is showing you the shape of its invisible heart. And as the flare's afterglow fades, as the magnetic arch dims, as the gathering surge of plasma waits in suspended stillness, you feel yourself drawn deeper into that unseen motion, ready for what comes next in the star's unfolding quiet. And as that suspended stillness gathers around the rising surge of plasma, a new sensation begins to take shape. Not sharp, not bright, but something like memory, returning to a place that has been waiting too long for recognition. It settles onto you slowly, the way warmth seeps into your hands when you hold a cup of tea on a cold morning. Not sudden, just familiar in a way you didn't expect. The image of the sun's trembling magnetic arch fading in the afterglow of its release lingers in your thoughts like a quiet echo. That echo doesn't fade. It deepens, drawing you towards something hidden beneath the star's glowing skin, something older than the first flare you ever learned about, older than the cycles astronomers track, older than the stability you've always relied on without thinking. Scientists suggest that to truly understand a star, you must look beneath the surface, beneath the dazzling light that hides its secrets, beneath the shifting granules that rise and fall like the surface of a living ocean. There, in the vast convective layers that churn with unimaginable heat, the sun keeps memories of everything it has ever been. Your awareness drifts downward, following the imagined path of that memory, slipping through layers of plasma so dense they behave almost like fluid and flame at the same time. Currents swirl in enormous spirals, lifting heat from the core, outward twisting magnetic fields into ropes thicker than mountains. These spirals move so slowly you could watch them for hours and never see the full sweep of their motion. And yet, despite their scale, there's something intimate in the way they turn, as though the sun is breathing through them. NASA's helioseismology instruments, the delicate sensors that read vibrations inside the sun, the way a stethoscope hears a heartbeat, have detected patterns that rise and fall with a rhythm unlike anything found on Earth. Each vibration carries information about temperature, pressure, motion, revealing depths humans can't reach by any other means. Those vibrations drift through your thoughts, now soft waves of sound you can't actually hear, but can feel in the slowing of your own breath, the way the quiet sinks even deeper around you. Beneath those waves lies the tachocline. A boundary scientists believe plays a crucial role in shaping the magnetic cycles that rise and fall every 11 years. It is a region of profound contrast where rotation speeds shift abruptly, twisting magnetic fields until they coil into structures that someday will break the surface as sunspots, as arches, as flares, as the shimmering signs you've been following. You sense that boundary now, not visually, but as an invisible tension beneath everything the sun shows. A place where order teeters on the edge of chaos, and where chaos sometimes arranges itself into perfect temporary harmony. From that boundary, a magnetic field begins to thicken, gathering strength without urgency. It rises with patience the way a deep truth rises in your mind, only when you're quiet enough to listen. Particles slip around the field, spiraling with grace, following paths carved not by force, but by invisible instruction, a soft choreography inside the furnace of a star. And as that field strengthens your awareness, leans closer to it, drawn by the subtlety of its motion, there is no rush, no explosion. Just the slow assembly of something the sun has shaped countless times before. You picture the field stretching outward, carrying hints of the deep layers pressed into its structure. Temperature gradients, currents, the ghostly trace of vibrations that move through the sun long before you were born. The darkness in your room seems to shift with it, as though the quiet has learned the rhythm of the star and begun to breathe in time. The magnetic field continues to rise. It presses through layers of plasma like a memory resurfacing. The higher it climbs, the cooler the surrounding material becomes, until the contrast forms the seed of another dark patch on the surface. Your second sunspot, a shadow made not of absence but of presence so powerful it alters the light around it. You imagine drifting above that shadow, floating without weight, watching the field push outward in slow arcs. It's beautiful in a way that almost startles you, how something so intense can move with such gentleness. Scientists say the geometry of these fields is rarely simple. They twist into shapes that defy ordinary intuition, looping, branching, braiding themselves through space. Some loops connect in quiet stability, while others stretch too far, their tension rising beyond balance. In that imbalance lies the promise of another flare, another release, another reminder that stars never truly rest. But for now, the sun is holding that tension, cradling it in slow, deliberate motion. You feel it as a faint pull in the silence around you, a subtle gathering that doesn't disturb the calm, but enriches it, deepens it, gives it texture. Above the new sunspot, a luminous canopy of plasma begins to form, shimmering faintly in wavelengths human eyes cannot see. NASA's ultraviolet cameras capture these canopies in delicate shades that resemble cathedral arches made of light. You imagine them now curves of radiance rising from darkness, a contrast so gentle it feels almost holy. The arch grows slowly, fed by the magnetic tension at its base. Particles dance along its shape, creating the quiet glow that satellites trace with infinite patience. You sense that patience in yourself too, a willingness to follow this unfolding, without demanding meaning, without rushing, simply letting the motion carry you. And in that openness, the sun reveals another layer of its memory. Beneath the arch, beneath the spot, beneath the convective currents and twisting fields, lies the solar core, a region too deep for light to escape. Quickly, a region whose fusion reactions give birth to the photons that will someday warm your face. The core's light takes thousands of years to reach the surface. What touches your skin tomorrow began its journey before any human built a city, before oceans took their current shapes, before the first breath you ever drew. You hold that thought, gently realizing you are being warmed by ancient fire that has crossed unimaginable distances through unimaginable time just to arrive in this moment with you. The magnetic field above the spot swells once more, subtle, steady, alive. You feel yourself leaning toward its motion, not physically, but in awareness, as though the sun is inviting you deeper into the quiet heart of its restlessness. And as the arch reaches the peak of its graceful rise, as the tension beneath it gathers with the soft inevitability of a sigh, you sense that the sun is preparing to show you something you've never truly noticed before. Something not in its brightness, but in its shadow. Something waiting in the delicate balance between force and release, between stability and surrender. Something rising slowly from the depths of a star that remembers everything. That rising presence you sensed in the star's depths does not surge upward all at once. It unfolds the way a long-forgotten thought returns to the edge of your awareness softly, steadily, with the quiet certainty of something that has always belonged there. The sun's hidden architectures begin to reveal themselves in this gentle ascent, not in bright flares or violent storms, but in the subtle shaping of its magnetic interior, the way tension arranges itself into forms you were never meant to see with your eyes, yet somehow can feel in the stillness surrounding you now. Scientists studying NASA's magnetogram data often describe the sun's magnetic field as a tapestry threads, woven, twisted, pulled, tightened, relaxed. But tapestries stay still, while this one is alive. The magnetic structures rising from the tachocline do not simply move upward, they breathe through the plasma around them, gathering particles bending light-shaping currents. Each structure is a living architecture built from force rather than matter, from invisible lines that nevertheless sculpt everything within their reach. Your awareness drifts closer to one of these ascending structures, a magnetic rope the width of continents lifting from the sun's middle layers with patient deliberation. Its shape curves gently carrying hints of rotation left over from the star's deeper regions. You imagine the way it gathers strength not by rushing, but by aligning itself with the rhythm of the plasma that surrounds it. That rhythm moves through you with surprising ease, as though your breath has tuned itself to the sun's internal cadence. In, out, warmth drifting toward you from a world millions of kilometers away, yet unfolding inside your mind, with the quiet intimacy of a whisper. As the magnetic rope rises, the plasma around it adjusts, cooling slightly, darkening slightly, preparing the surface to open in the shape of another sunspot. You feel the moment just before emergence, the way pressure gathers beneath the surface like a secret ready to reveal itself. When the rope breaks through the light around it, bends again, and a new region of shadow begins to form. But this shadow doesn't feel like darkness. It feels like clarity, a place where the sun shows its inner design more honestly than in its outward glow. NASA's instruments capture the moment in stunning detail. Ultraviolet cameras trace the outlines of magnetic loops. As they rise each line, glowing faintly in colors human eyes cannot detect. X-ray monitors register shifts in intensity, recording the subtle rearrangement of particles that accompanies magnetic emergence. Data streams flow from satellites in quiet torrents, carrying the signatures of motion that is too large, too slow, too deep for direct human experience. And yet here in the hush of the night, you feel it without effort. The magnetic architecture spreads across the surface branches, curling outward, forming a network of loops and arcs that look almost like the delicate veins in a leaf. The sun builds its structures this way, not all at once, but in layered patterns that echo through its cycles. Scientists suggest these patterns are shaped by differential rotation, the strange and elegant fact that the sun spins faster at its equator than at its poles. This uneven turning stretches and twists magnetic fields until they wrap around the star in spirals, forming the seeds of the very structures rising before you now. You imagine that spiral, a slow, powerful, winding motion that takes months or years to complete. Its motion doesn't rush. It simply persists the way tides persist, the way breath persists, the way stars remember the laws that guide them. As the magnetic network expands, the air in your room seems to widen again, deepening the quiet around you. It feels as though the sun is offering you a glimpse not just of its surface, but of the way it organizes its own chaos. And the chaos is beautiful. Plasma flows through the loops in shimmering waves, each particle following a precise path dictated by the field around it. Even in the star's turbulence, there is structure-pattern balance. You sense the balance forming now, a fragile harmony in which magnetic tension holds itself steady as long as the loops remain unbroken. But the harmony is temporary. It always is. Stars are not built for stillness, even when they carry the illusion of calm. Somewhere within the expanding network, one loop tightens. Just slightly, just enough. A shift occurs like the gentle click of something lining up inside a clock. The particles along that tightened loop accelerate, heating the surrounding plasma, thickening the glow in wavelengths far beyond human sight. You don't see the glow, but you feel the gathering warmth of it inside your chest, a warmth that seems to merge with your breathing until you can no longer tell which sensation belongs to you and which belongs to the star. NASA's models have simulated this moment countless times, the instant when magnetic lines rearrange themselves, seeking a lower state of energy. A simpler configuration, a release from tension. Reconnection. The word itself feels like a soft exhale in your thoughts. Two loops merge, two fields collapse into a new shape. Light erupts from the point of contact, like a thread snapping in slow motion. But this eruption is still forming. It hasn't burst yet. It's gathering, coiling, preparing. You rest inside that preparation, letting the sensation settle through you. There is no fear here, only the gentle awareness that something immense is aligning itself for the moment when it can no longer remain contained. The magnetic fields brighten in your imagination, not as fire, but as geometry lines of force reshaping themselves into a form the sun has crafted countless times before. Every star does this. Every star speaks through this reshaping. Every star remembers itself through these quiet instabilities that become light. Scientists believe these processes help maintain the sun's long-term balance, preventing magnetic pressure from growing too high, allowing energy to move outward rather than collapsing inward. It's strange and strangely comforting to think of a star releasing tension, the way a mind does slowly, deliberately, after holding too much for too long. The loops above the sunspot expand with a grace that feels almost careful. Shadows shift on the surface. Arches glow at their edges, traced by particles spiraling so fast, they form streams of light. The entire region hums with potential silent, but undeniable. You feel yourself suspended inside that potential, floating in the gentle pull of the sun's hidden architecture. As it prepares for the moment when motion becomes brightness, when memory becomes release, when tension becomes light, the star holds its breath with you. The quiet around you thickens as if every molecule of air has leaned closer to witness whatever comes next. And in that shared stillness, you sense the architecture settling into its final shape, a shape that knows it cannot last. A shape designed for beautiful collapse, a shape born from the deep and ancient processes the sun has carried since long before Earth took its first form. The moment before release stretches gently not in urgency, but in anticipation, like the soft pause between two notes of a lullaby, like the heartbeat of a star remembering itself before it speaks in light once more. Holding itself with a kind of cosmic patience, as if the sun is giving you one last breath to prepare for what it is about to reveal. Not a violent eruption, not a sudden burst of fury, but the natural exhale of a star that has held its tension longer than even light can measure. Something shifts. It's subtle at first, a rearranging of magnetic lines, a soft tightening of curves that were already stretched thin. Then the shift deepens like the settling of a thought you've been carrying for far too long. NASA's Solar Dynamics Observatory has watched this exact moment thousands of times, the quiet snapping of magnetic geometry, the breaking and reforming of lines of force, the transition from stored tension to flowing energy. But what those cameras see as bursts and flares arrives in your awareness as something gentler, at letting go. The release begins as light. Not the warm light that touches your skin each morning, but a higher, sharper brilliance born from electrons accelerating along reshaped magnetic paths. This light escapes at wavelengths unseen by your eyes, yet you feel its presence the way you feel a thought forming before you find the words for it. The brightness expands, pouring outward from the sun's surface like a sigh made of photons. There is no sound in space, and yet the motion carries a sense of softness, as though the star is relieved to finally release what it has been holding. Particles respond instantly. Electrons, protons, and ions swirl into new trajectories, carving spirals through the shifting magnetic field. Heat rises, plasma glows, currents accelerate with a grace. Scientists still struggle to describe. You rest inside that grace, letting the image settle through you like warm water through open hands. The flare grows stronger. Its light races outward at the speed of thought, 8 minutes from the sun to Earth, crossing millions of kilometers with effortless certainty. It does not warm you physically here in the quiet of your night, but it touches something deeper, a place inside you that recognizes release when it feels it. As the flare expands, the sun's surface responds in waves. Regions of brightness ripple across the surrounding areas, forming patterns captured by NASA's ultraviolet cameras, petal-like structures, spreading arcs, delicate filaments glowing in silent choreography. You imagine those filaments opening, each one unfurling like a soft ribbon of heat. They drift outward from the flare site, their motion slow but unstoppable, carrying the story of the release into the star's extended atmosphere. Yet even as this brightness reaches outward, another motion begins within the star, a deeper surge, a heavier exhale, a gathering of plasma whose scale dwarfs the quiet flare that came before. Coronal mass ejections do not erupt like flares. They rise, slowly, massively, deliberately. You sense the rise now, a swelling presence beneath the sun's luminous surface, lifting the way a tide lifts against the shore. The magnetic loops above the sunspot stretch upward, their shapes expanding, becoming translucent with tension. NASA's coronagraphs record these moments as halos of brightness forming around the sun, light scattering off the dense plasma that is preparing to break free. But what instruments capture as structured arcs feels inside your awareness, like something blooming a luminous flower, opening its petals into the emptiness of space. The outer atmosphere of the sun, the corona responds with shimmering waves. Temperatures soar to millions of degrees, a paradox scientists still try to understand. The farther from the surface, the hotter the corona becomes. Some believe magnetic waves carry energy upward, dissolving into heat. Others suggest the answer lies in nano flares too small to see faint echoes of the larger release unfolding before you now. Whatever the cause, the corona brightens, wrapped in the tension of what is coming. You feel that tension inside your own stillness, not as strain, but as a hovering sense of anticipation, a recognition that stars release their burdens slowly, softly, with the inevitability of breath. The magnetic canopy above the sunspot expands, further curves, thinning edges brightening. The plasma within it swells, gathering mass the way clouds gather before the first drop of rain. Except this rain is made of fire. You picture the corona bulging outward, its shape becoming unstable. Magnetic lines stretched to their limit, their tension barely contained. Scientists call this moment loss of equilibrium, a phrase that feels too formal for something so elegant. It is not collapse, it is surrender. The surrender begins with a single shift so small, you almost miss it, a tiny tilt in the magnetic field, a realignment measured in fractions of a heartbeat. Then the structure releases, not explosively, but with an immense slow-motion grace, like a mountain lifting itself into the sky. The coronal mass ejection rises from the surface, carrying billions of tons of plasma into the star's surrounding space. Its motion is silent and vast, an exhale that travels for millions of kilometers, forming a coherent wave of particles, guided by magnetic fields that curve through the solar system like invisible rivers. Your awareness follows that wave, feeling its enormity, not as weight, but as presence, a presence widening, stretching, moving outward with purpose. NASA's satellites will feel this disturbance hours or days from now, depending on the speed of the ejection. They will measure shifts in the solar wind changes in density and velocity, the telltale signatures of a star's quiet release reaching into interplanetary space. Here in your room, none of that data reaches you directly, but you sense the motion all the same, the way you sense a distant storm, long before you hear thunder. The sun's exhale continues for minutes or hours, its glow shimmering along the edges of the departing wave. The magnetic field reorganizes behind it, settling into a simpler configuration, a shape with less tension, less memory of what it once held. Balance returns, slowly folding itself back into the star's surface like fabric, smoothing beneath a gentle hand. You breathe with that smoothing sharing in the sun's release, as though your own thoughts have loosened in the same quiet moment. The flare dims. The halo around the ejection fades. The arches collapse softly, returning their light to the surface. And the sun, having exhaled its hidden brightness, settles back into its steady glow, calm for now, yet carrying the potential for future release in the depths, where magnetic memory always stirs. You feel that calm gathering around you, thickening the quiet, drawing you deeper into the sun's unfolding story. The star has spoken in light, and now another layer waits. A layer not in the sun's brightness, but in the space where its breath meets the earth, begins to open before you, with a softness that feels almost human, a gentle reaching out, rather than a forceful arrival. You sense it first as a change in the silence around you, a faint shift in the texture of the stillness, as if the air knows that something ancient is approaching across the dark. The particles released from the sun's quiet exhale travel outward, now moving through the solar wind with a calm determination. They do not rush, yet they cover unimaginable distances, with a certainty that feels both cosmic and intimate. Every second, billions of charged particles drift past Earth, sometimes with the softness of falling ash, sometimes with the heaviness of a storm that hasn't yet broken. Tonight you sense them moving through space like the slow tide of a luminous ocean guided by currents you cannot see but somehow can feel in the reflective hush wrapping around your awareness. Scientists describe the solar wind as a stream of plasma flowing from the sun's corona into the vastness of space. NASA's spacecraft detect its variations, its speed rising, falling its density, shifting its magnetic field, turning in patterns that carry the fingerprints of distant eruptions. But what instruments measure in numbers and graphs reaches you as something simpler, a quiet touch drifting toward your world. When that touch reaches Earth, it does not collide with the planet. It meets something far more subtle, a protective invisible boundary surrounding you at all times, like a shield made of magnetic breath. The magnetosphere. You feel it forming around your awareness, shaping the space in which your thoughts move, a gentle curve of force arcing above and below the Earth, the way cupped hands might shelter the flame of a candle. This shield is not static. It flexes, ripples, bends, responding to everything the sun sends. Each wave of particles flowing from the solar wind brushes against it like fingertips, sliding across smooth glass. NASA's image and cluster missions have mapped this boundary in exquisite detail. The way it compresses on the sunward side, the way it stretches into an endless tail. On the night side, the way it shimmers with currents that shift in response to storms millions of kilometers away. You imagine those shapes now, not as diagrams, but as living forms surrounding your world, changing with each breath of the star that warms you. The leading edge of the solar wind reaches the magnetosphere with the soft pressure of a sigh. The shield responds instantly, tilting, adjusting, absorbing the impact with quiet resilience. There is no sound yet. You sense the meeting of these two forces, the sun's distant motion and the Earth's silent defense, in the stillness around you. Particles spiral along magnetic lines, their paths bending gracefully, never random, always following the invisible architecture of the field. Some slip toward the tail, carried by the stretched magnetic lines that trail behind Earth like a luminous, unseen river. Others are drawn toward the poles, guided along curves that descend gently toward the atmosphere. Their journey is slow, careful, like footsteps taken across a fragile floor. When they reach the upper air, they touch it with enough energy to stir atoms into light. You don't see the light here in the quiet of your room, but you feel its approach, a whisper of color forming far to the north and south, a delicate stirring in the darkness that will soon become something far more vivid than the night you rest within. NASA's Themis spacecraft has studied these gatherings, the way particles descend in sheets and curtains, the way magnetic waves guide them, the way the atmosphere glows in response. But the science only hints at the feeling, the soft bloom of radiance when the Earth turns a solar breath into something beautiful. You imagine the first threads appearing in the polar sky, slender strands of pale green, unfurling like silk in a gentle breeze. They grow brighter, moving with a grace that seems both playful and ancient, as though the Earth is remembering something it has known since the beginning. This glow does not need your eyes to exist. It exists in your awareness now, a shimmering presence you can almost feel against your skin, the sensation of light born from particles touching air in a place far from here, yet close enough to reach you through imagination. As the auroral shapes deepen, other colors slip quietly into their folds. Violet traces rise along the edges. Faint red whispers appear near the top, rare and fleeting, visible only when oxygen meets the right energy at the right height. Blue ripples drift at the lower boundaries, where nitrogen responds in shorter bursts. These colors weave themselves into moving architecture, arches, curtains, spirals, constructed not from matter, but from motion. You feel the motion more than you picture it, a slow rhythmic flow that seems to echo the breathing you have settled into. Scientists call these patterns auroral dynamics, but here in the quiet of your night, they feel like something more, a soft conversation between the sun's release and the Earth's patient response. As the glow strengthens, the magnetosphere reshapes itself again, catching the remainder of the solar breath and guiding it into calm, ordered flow. The Earth absorbs what it must, redirects the rest, and holds the line between light and storm with a steadiness you may never have noticed until now. You let that steadiness rest inside you, a reminder that even in the presence of forces too large to imagine, balance is possible. Particles continue to stream through the magnetic tail, twisting, reconnecting, forming currents NASA has traced, with delicate precision currents that close loops far above your world and release faint pulses of energy that shimmer through space without ever touching the ground. The knowledge of these distant processes does not disrupt your calm. If anything, it deepens it, as though the complexity of the universe brings a kind of reassurance. Everything has a place in the quiet, even the most powerful motions of a star. Gradually, the auroral glow softens, the colors thin like watercolor fading from a page. The solar wind eases again its earlier strength, dispersing into the wide openness of space. Earth's shield relaxes with it, returning to its usual shape, curved and protective, holding the planet with a tenderness you had never thought to imagine in the vast physics of the cosmos. You feel that tenderness as the quiet gathers around you once more, softening the room, deepening the stillness. The sun's breath has touched the earth. The earth has answered in light. And somewhere in that exchange, a new awareness has begun to form inside you, an understanding not of data or diagrams, but of connection. A star moves, a planet responds, and in the space between them, you drift gently held by forces too large to see, yet too elegant to ignore. The night folds itself closer, warming the silence. You sense another layer, waiting a layer where the sun's traveling breath meets something more fragile. The woven systems humans have built beneath this shimmering shield, delicate threads of technology quietly influenced by storms unfolding millions of kilometers away, begin to reveal themselves in the soft continuation of your awareness, as though the world you live in is woven from strands thinner than you imagined, yet connected to a star far more deeply than you ever realized. The quiet around you seems to lean inward, drawing you toward this hidden connection, a gentle reminder that the devices and systems you trust each day rest not only on engineering, but on the invisible calm between Earth and the sun. The flare that shimmered across the star's surface and the wave of particles that followed it have now drifted deeper into space, guiding the solar wind into subtle variations that ripple through the fabric of the interplanetary magnetic field. What felt like a distant exhale moments ago is now a quiet influence reaching toward the fragile web of orbiting machines circling your world. NASA satellites are among the first to feel this shift. High above Earth, where the atmosphere thins into silence, sensitive instruments detect the faint rise in particle energy and the subtle twist of magnetic orientation carried by the solar wind. The machines do not fear the sun, but they listen to it every second, every breath, every change. You imagine one of these satellites drifting in the calm darkness, floating effortlessly, its panels angled like gentle wings toward the star that both empowers and threatens it. Its sensors hum with silent awareness, collecting data, feeling the sun's touch long before that touch reaches the ground. The particles arriving now are not violent, not sharp, just persistent small messengers of a larger story, carried across space with patient determination. When they enter the region above Earth, they alter the balance of the ionosphere, that delicate layer of charged particles through which radio waves travel like threads of song. You sense the shift in that layer, not as danger, but as a quiet rearranging like wind brushing across the surface of still water. Signals curve differently. Frequencies stretch, bend, hesitate. What seems effortless from the ground, a phone call, a GPS pin, a message sent across continents, actually depends on the steadiness of this invisible ocean, now being stirred by the sun's wandering breath. NASA and NOAA monitor these disturbances with instruments designed to recognize nuance, the rise in electron density, the drift in radio propagation, the timing offset in signals sent between satellites. Each measurement tells a story, and tonight that story is one of subtle but growing change. You picture a GPS satellite responding to the shift. Its internal clock, a device more accurate than anything you've ever held, needs only the slightest nudge from solar interference to drift from perfect alignment. A delay of a billionth of a second can shift a location on Earth by meters. Small errors become meaningful ones. Yet the satellite corrects itself with quiet resilience, absorbing the sun's influence, adjusting listening, finding balance again. Technology like the Earth's magnetic field has learned to live with a star that forgets to stay still. The thought settles gently in you, this coexistence, this partnership between fragile systems and cosmic forces, far more ancient than anything humans have built. But the sun's whisper does not stop with satellites. It drifts lower toward the upper edges of Earth's atmosphere, where charged particles shape currents invisible to human eyes but powerful enough to influence the pulse of the planet itself. Geomagnetic currents begin to flow through the Earth's magnetic lines, rippling toward the ground with the softness of a tide and the weight of a continent. These currents interact with the systems beneath your feet, the vast grid of wires and transformers that carry electricity across countries like the bloodstream of civilization. You imagine a quiet transformer on a cold night, resting in its usual hum, until the solar wind stirs the magnetosphere and the ground beneath it shifts with new electrical currents. Nothing dramatic, only a drift in voltage, a momentary rise in energy, a pulse carried from a star into the heart of human infrastructure. Most of the time, these pulses pass without consequence, absorbed naturally by equipment built for resilience. But on rare nights when the sun exhales with unusual force, stronger currents can weave themselves into the grid with enough intensity to overload delicate systems. Scientists often recall the Quebec blackout of 1989, when a solar storm carried magnetic disturbances that flowed through power lines and extinguished an entire region's lights in seconds. Not destruction, just imbalance. A reminder that even the Earth's quiet partnership with the sun has moments of forgetting its delicate boundaries. You feel none of this as threat. In this soft hour, it arrives as understanding the realization that the systems humans rely on are in conversation with a star, whether anyone notices or not. Far above, satellites continue to drift through shimmering arcs of particle flow, adjusting their orbits, shielding delicate electronics, listening for any sign of stronger storms. NASA's magnetometers trace the direction of the solar wind, mapping its twists like lines of poetry carried on cosmic air. Lower down radio operators adjust frequencies to account for the sun's shifting breath. Pilots flying over polar routes receive signals urging them to change direction, avoiding regions where communication becomes fragile under the weight of solar interference. Even the aurora's beautiful veils of color, far from most cities, are signs of a deeper rearrangement in the invisible machinery of the world. You let this realization drift through you. Every quiet light in the polar sky is also a message, a sign of the sun touching the edge of human technology with a delicate but undeniable hand. And yet, despite these influences, the tone of the world beneath your feet remains calm. Computers continue their calculations. Phones glow softly in the dark. Networks exchange threads of information with the seamless effort of thought. The sun has touched them, but gently a reminder, not a warning. You rest in that gentleness, feeling the quiet settle again, as if the universe has finished showing you how deeply connected you are to forces you seldom notice. A sense of gratitude rises in you, unexpectedly, not for the machines themselves, but for the delicate balance that allows them to exist, to function, to accompany you through your life, while a star's breath moves endlessly across the sky. The magnetosphere continues its soft work, deflecting most of the solar wind, guiding the rest into polar lights, shielding billions of circuits from storms they will never know they encountered. This partnership between Earth and Sun feels almost like an old friendship now, a quiet, steady understanding built over billions of years. And somewhere in that understanding, you sense a deeper layer still waiting, not in the sun's storms, nor in Earth's shield, but in the delicate relationship between your perception and the light that shapes it. The next part of the story will not unfold in the magnetosphere or in the machines orbiting high above you. It will unfold in you in the way your senses and your mind interact with the universe's brightness and translate it into meaning. The quiet prepares itself again, inviting you toward that inner horizon where the sun's influence becomes not a physical force, but a way of seeing. Not as a sudden realization, but as a gradual widening, a gentle clearing of space inside your awareness, where the sun's story begins to weave itself into the story of your own mind. What moments ago felt like distant physics now becomes something intimate, something that touches the edges of how you sense the world. Light itself begins to step forward in your thoughts, not the everyday brightness that fills a room or traces the outline of your hand, but the deeper, older light, the photons born in the sun's core, the ones that spent thousands of years pushing their way outward through layers of plasma before beginning their 8-minute flight to your eyes. You let that thought rest gently inside you. The light you see today began its journey before any human walked the earth you stand on. It carries the sun's memory, its pressure, its slow ascent through unimaginable depth. And somehow, after traveling so far, this ancient light becomes personal the moment it reaches you. Your eyes, those quiet instruments of your mind, receive this light with delicate precision. Scientists say the photoreceptors in your retina can detect even a single photon in the right conditions. A breathtaking sensitivity that turns the faintest whisper of brightness into something your brain can understand. You imagine a single photon arriving carrying the warmth of the sun's distant story. It touches a molecule inside a retinal cell, causing a tiny shift, a change so incredibly small it feels like the universe leaning in to speak directly to you. That shift begins a cascade, a conversion of light into electrical signals that travel along your optic nerve in patterns shaped by billions of years of evolution. These patterns don't form images yet. They form possibility, the raw material from which your mind will later build a world. You rest inside that possibility. The softness of it feels like a breath, a warm pulse moving through you. NASA's research into human perception during deep space missions has revealed just how sensitive the mind is to even the faintest variations in light. Astronauts drifting through the darkness near the Earth's magnetic field sometimes report seeing brief flashes phosphenes created when high-energy particles pass through their retinas, triggering sensations of light even in absolute darkness. The universe can paint directly on your mind without ever touching your eyes. You let that idea drift into you slowly. It feels both surreal and strangely comforting, as though your perception is part of a larger dialogue between your senses and the cosmos. When sunlight reaches you on an ordinary day, your brain begins shaping it instantly, sorting wavelengths, softening contrasts, assigning meaning to the brightness you see. But here in this quiet hour, the process feels slower, as though your awareness has time to trace each step with gentle curiosity. Light enters the visual cortex like a traveler arriving with stories from far away. Neurons fire in delicate arrangements, mapping color-shaped movement onto the inner landscape of your thoughts. Yet, what you finally perceive is not the sun's light itself, but your mind's interpretation of it, a creation woven from sensation and memory, from expectation and quiet imagination. This makes perception less of a window and more of a conversation. You feel that conversation now, a soft duet between the outer universe and the inner one you carry with you, always. The sun sends brightness, your mind sends meaning. Some scientists believe that perception is shaped more by the brain's predictions than by the signals arriving from your eyes. Your mind guesses the world into existence, gently updating its view with each new photon that reaches you. You breathe softly with this realization. It feels both grounding and tender. The world you see is partly the world outside and partly the world within. Tonight, the balance between these two worlds feels especially calm. You imagine the photons flowing from the sun like threads of gold touching Earth, touching your eyes, touching your mind, with a softness older than memory. Those threads weave through your perception, quietly shaping the way you experience brightness, warmth, distance, stillness. Even darkness becomes meaningful, not as the absence of light, but as the canvas your mind paints with the sun's lingering glow. NASA has studied how prolonged darkness during space travel alters perception, how astronauts begin to develop subtle shifts in the way they process brightness after weeks without natural sunlight. Their minds retain memory of light filling the void, with internal images and sensations that echo the sun's presence. Your awareness mirrors that process now. Even in the dimness of your room, you feel the sun woven through your thoughts, not visually, but emotionally, like the resonance of a note long after the instrument has fallen silent. This resonance grows softer as you drift deeper into reflection. Your mind begins to explore how light influences not only sight, but mood, clarity, sense of time. Scientists studying circadian rhythms have found that even the tiniest shift in sunlight can adjust the internal clock that governs your sleep, your alertness, your quiet moments of peace. Photons reach specialized cells behind your eyes that send signals straight to the brain's pacemaker, helping your body align with the rhythm of the day. You feel that rhythm now, slow, steady, like waves brushing along a shore. The sun sets. The earth turns, your mind softens into night. The world becomes quieter, and perception turns inward toward deeper forms of seeing. In this softness, your awareness begins to notice something gentle and easily overlooked, the way light influences not just what you see, but how you feel about seeing it. Your awareness drifts gently inward, as if the universe has stepped aside to let you explore the quiet machinery that turns sunlight into thought, and thought into the soft glow of understanding. What began as photons touching your eyes now continues as electricity moving through your mind, shaping not only what you perceive, but the way you experience yourself within the world. The connection feels delicate yet immense, a conversation between outer brightness and inner consciousness that has been happening every moment of your life without ever being spoken aloud. You sense the conversation deepening now. The electrical signals traveling from your retina arrive in the visual cortex like ripples meeting the shore of a still lake. They spread, intertwine, awaken clusters of neurons that have been waiting for this exact pattern of light to appear. Scientists studying neural mapping have found that the brain organizes these signals into layers of detail, edges movement, contrast, color. Yet what emerges in your awareness is not separate fragments, but a single unified experience of seeing. Your mind performs this unification so smoothly, you never notice the steps. Tonight you feel those steps more clearly, like the soft unfolding of petals in slow motion. Light becomes pattern. Pattern becomes understanding. Understanding becomes the quiet sense that the world before you is both familiar and endlessly new. NASA's research into astronauts' perception reveals how the brain adapts when visual references shift or disappear, how it reconstructs the world even when gravity orientation and sensory cues no longer behave the way they do on Earth. Their minds fill the gaps with memory prediction, trust in internal maps built over a lifetime of sunlight. You feel a similar process now, a subtle blending between what arrives from the universe and what your mind creates in response. Your thoughts drift toward the structure of the visual cortex, a layered landscape of neural pathways curving like tiny riverbeds that carry your perception forward. Electrical impulses flow through them with elegant precision, forming temporary patterns that last only milliseconds, yet shape your entire experience of reality. These patterns do not stay contained. They spill outward, traveling into deeper regions of the brain, where memory waits, where emotion settles, where meaning begins to bloom. A gentle warmth gathers behind your awareness as you follow these pathways inward. You sense the hippocampus resting in the quiet, cataloging traces of light, embedding them into the soft tapestry of memory that grows with each passing hour. Perhaps you recall a sunset, a warm morning, a childhood moment lit by sunlight that still lingers somewhere inside you, even if you can no longer picture it clearly. Light creates memory, and memory shapes perception. The two move together like intertwined threads. Scientists suggest that the brain's interpretation of the world is not a static process, but a constant negotiation between what is arriving and what has already been stored. Your mind looks at the present through a lens tinted by everything it has ever known. You breathe softly with this realization. It feels both grounding and tender. The world you see is partly the world outside and partly the world within. Tonight, the balance between these two worlds feels especially calm. You imagine the photons flowing from the sun like threads of gold touching Earth, touching your eyes, touching your mind with a softness older than memory. Those threads weave through your perception, quietly shaping the way you experience brightness, warmth, distance, stillness. Even darkness becomes meaningful, not as the absence of light, but as the canvas your mind paints with the sun's lingering glow. NASA has studied how prolonged darkness during space travel alters perception, how astronauts begin to develop subtle shifts in the way they process brightness after weeks without natural sunlight. Their minds retain memory of light filling the void with internal images and sensations that echo the sun's presence. Your awareness mirrors that process now. Even in the dimness of your room, you feel the sun woven through your thoughts, not visually, but emotionally, like the resonance of a note long after the instrument has fallen silent. This resonance grows softer as you drift deeper into reflection. Your mind begins to explore how light influences not only sight, but mood, clarity, sense of time. Scientists studying circadian rhythms have found that even the tiniest shift in sunlight can adjust the internal clock that governs your sleep, your alertness, your quiet moments of peace. Photons reach specialized cells behind your eyes that send signals straight to the brain's pacemaker, helping your body align with the rhythm of the day. You feel that rhythm now, slow, steady, like waves brushing along a shore. The sun sets, the earth turns. Your mind softens into night. The world becomes quieter, and perception turns inward toward deeper forms of seeing. In this softness, your awareness begins to notice something gentle and easily overlooked, the way light influences not just what you see, but how you feel about seeing it. Your awareness drifts gently from the landscapes of the mind into the deeper places where your body listens softly and instinctively to the light that has shaped it since long before you learned its name. The sun does not touch you directly here in the quiet, yet your body feels its absence and remembers its presence in ways that are older than thought and more intimate than memory. Inside you, a network of subtle rhythms begins to rise into view, as though your inner world has been waiting for a moment of stillness to show you how closely it follows the distant breathing of a star. Scientists studying circadian biology have found that nearly every cell in your body carries its own tiny clock, a molecular rhythm tuned to the cycle of light and darkness that has guided life for billions of years. These clocks do not glow with gears or ticking hands. They move in waves of gene expression, opening and closing to harmonize your body with the turning of the earth. You feel one of those waves now, a gentle lowering of energy that arrives naturally as the world shifts into night. This sensation isn't fatigue, it's alignment, a quiet settling as your internal rhythms soften to match the absence of sunlight. Melatonin, a hormone shaped by darkness, begins to drift into your bloodstream like a warm, invisible tide. Its presence signals your body to slow, to soften, to welcome the gentler pace of evening. Yet, even as melatonin rises, your body doesn't fully forget the sun. It keeps a memory of brightness tucked inside an echo of the day that prevents you from sinking too quickly or too far. This balance between day's memory and night's invitation creates a kind of inner twilight, a soft gradient you often move through without noticing, but can now feel with surprising clarity. NASA's sleep studies with astronauts show how delicate this gradient is. When humans leave Earth and drift into environments where day and night lose their familiar rhythm, their bodies begin searching for light cues that no longer exist. Sleep becomes lighter dreams, more fragile emotion, more fluid. The sun's timing is woven so deeply into your biology that removing it changes the texture of consciousness itself. Here in your quiet room, you sense how gently your body responds to the simple truth that the sun has set. Your heartbeat slows, not dramatically, just enough to feel like a soft exhale. Your breathing deepens its rhythm, settling into patterns that soothe the nervous system without effort. Deep within your brain, the suprachiasmatic nucleus, a cluster of neurons smaller than a grain of rice, keeps watch over these rhythms, ensuring that every system in your body moves with coherence even in the absence of light. It is your internal star guiding your biology through cycles as ancient as the Earth itself. You imagine that tiny cluster glowing softly, illuminated not by photons, but by the quiet intelligence that coordinates your entire being. Its signals drift downward into regions that shape your physical experience, your hunger, your temperature, your sense of calm. Cortisol, the hormone that wakes you with alertness each morning, begins its nightly descent, now falling like a gentle curtain, making room for rest without taking away your sense of presence. Oxytocin weaves through your thoughts in faint traces, softening the edges of emotion, making it easier to trust the quiet you're sinking into. Its presence feels like warmth, not physical warmth, but emotional warmth, the kind that helps your mind loosen its grip on the day's heaviness. You allow that warmth to settle around you like a soft blanket drawn up from within. Other signals move to hidden messengers, carrying instructions from cell to cell, with the silent efficiency of ancient design. Some prepare your muscles for recovery, some slow your digestion to let your body redirect energy inward, some drift into the bloodstream to repair the small wearings of the day. It feels almost like listening to the quiet hum of a city after midnight, a sense of stillness interwoven with purposeful activity you never noticed before. Scientists studying autonomic regulation describe this shift as a delicate handoff between the sympathetic and parasympathetic branches of your nervous system. The first helps you act, the second helps you rest. And here in the soft open space of night, you feel that handoff happening with the gentleness of a tide rolling back from the shore. Your muscles settle, your thoughts soften. Your breath becomes the steady metronome of an inner world moving toward equilibrium. Even now, the sun is part of this process. Its absence allows certain rhythms to unfold just as its presence awakens others. Your body listens to the turning of the earth in a language made of chemistry and pulse of timing and trust. NASA studies show that when astronauts experience disrupted light cycles, their emotional resilience shifts too. Memory drifts, mood oscillates. The absence of sunrise and sunset reminds them how deeply human stability depends on rhythms larger than ourselves. You feel that dependence now, not as fragility, but as connection, a kind of belonging to something older than civilization, older than humanity, older even than Earth's earliest oceans. You belong to the rhythm of the sun. Your cells carry its timing, your heart carries its echo, your mind carries its brightness, even in darkness. And as this awareness sinks deeper, it begins to reveal something tender about your emotional world. Light does not only shape your biology, it shapes your feelings. Warm daylight can soften anxiety. Cool twilight can evoke reflection. Soft darkness can invite forgiveness for thoughts you held too tightly. Your emotional landscape is intertwined with the sun's gentle cycles in ways you rarely pause to notice. Tonight you feel the gentle pull of that cycle, a calming, a loosening, a readiness to let your inner world be illuminated, not by brightness, but by clarity. This clarity arrives not as insight, but as acceptance, a quiet permission to rest inside the rhythm. Your body already knows the rhythm it has followed since long before you understood that a star was guiding it. You breathe softly, and the breath feels like a small alignment, your internal coastlines adjusting to the turning of the planet. And as everything settles further, you sense another layer approaching a layer where the rhythms of the body meet the rhythms of the species, where the biology of the individual becomes part of the collective pulse that shapes communities. Cultures, moments of connection, shared quietly between people who may never know that the same star has been guiding each of them all along. The quiet prepares itself again, opening space within you for what comes after this, the unfolding of your social mind under the soft influence of the sun's ancient rhythm. Continues as gently as a tide sliding across a moonlit shore, revealing how deeply the light that touches your skin by day and drifts away by night guides the ways you sense, relate, and quietly belong to the people around you. You don't usually think of sunlight as something that shapes connection, yet its rhythm wraps itself around every interaction. You have a subtle architecture woven into your emotions, your expressions, your willingness to reach out or lean inward or simply soften in another person's presence. Scientists who study social neuroscience have found that the same cycles of light and darkness that guide your body's inner clocks also guide oxytocin, serotonin, and dopamine, the quiet chemical messengers that stir warmth, trust, empathy, the gentle pull of wanting to understand another human being. These are not grand emotions. They are soft currents moving beneath awareness, steadying your social world with the sun's cadence. You sense one of those currents now, a delicate warmth unfurling somewhere inside your chest. Not sharp, not urgent, just present a reminder that the rhythms shaping you also shape everyone else, creating a shared language even in silence. The sun sets for you, and it sets for the people you care about. It rises for you, and it rises for them. You drift into night alongside them, even if you are far apart. The rhythm is communal, long before community is ever spoken aloud. NASA's behavioral studies on astronauts show how drastically light cycles affect cooperation, patience, and the sense of closeness between people who spend long weeks together in confined space. When light fades irregularly or arrives in unpredictable bursts, emotions become fragile, communication grows strained, and empathy thins like a thread stretched too far. But when light follows a steady pattern, humans soften toward one another. They become more generous, more willing to listen, more capable of warmth in ways they may not consciously notice. You feel that softening in the quiet around you, now the sense that your own inner rhythms reshape the way you understand the gestures, tones, and gentle imperfections of those who share your life. Your awareness drifts into a memory, not a specific one, but a familiar feeling, light falling across someone's face in the morning, the subtle calm of their presence, the ease of sharing the same moment without needing words. Sunlight makes connection effortless without making it loud. Deep within your brain, the anterior cingulate cortex monitors the emotional temperature of your interactions, reading subtle cues, adjusting your responses to maintain harmony. It behaves almost like an inner compass, aligning your reactions with the social world around you, the same way your circadian clock aligns your body with the turning of the earth. You sense that compass now, steady, quiet, tuned to the faint rhythms that guide your experience of being with others. Another region, the temporoparietal junction, helps you imagine someone else's perspective, as if stepping for a moment into the gentle light that surrounds their world. It activates more fluidly when your internal rhythms are well aligned, when your body has rested, when sunlight has soothed your biology in all the subtle ways you rarely feel. Your awareness lingers here in the tenderness of this understanding that even empathy has roots in the ancient rhythms of day and night. In the soft dark of your room, you begin to feel this ancient rhythm, binding you not only to people you know, but to strangers walking through cities you may never visit, to children waking in countries you may never see, to someone sitting quietly at a window, watching the same sky for reasons you'll never hear. Sunlight touches them too. Its rhythm guides their hormones, their moods, their willingness to reach out or retreat. You share a biological language with billions of people simply by existing under the same star. The thought dissolves through you with unexpected gentleness connection that does not depend on conversation agreement or shared belief, but on the quiet shaping of a celestial rhythm older than humanity. When the sun rises, serotonin increases, lifting mood, steadying thought, helping people greet one another with more softness than they might realize. When the sun sets, the chemistry shifts, smoothing emotions, slowing impulsivity, inviting people to lean inward rather than outward. This daily rise and fall guides the emotional tides of homes, relationships, communities. Even arguments, even reconciliations follow its quiet turning if you look closely enough. NASA's psychological teams monitor these patterns carefully for crews living in the compressed worlds of space stations, where artificial light must imitate the sun's rhythm to sustain cooperation and emotional resilience. A mistimed light cycle can create tension. A well-timed one can restore harmony. You let that truth rest gently inside you, connection is not only a human effort, but a solar one. Your breath slows further as you feel your own inner tides, the way your emotions soften when you surrender to the rhythm that has always guided you. A memory stirs again, the warmth of laughing with someone under afternoon light, the calm of sharing quiet as dusk settled, the way even silence felt companionable in that glow. Sunlight teaches presence without instruction. It shapes the architecture of your social mind in ways more profound than you might have ever guessed. As your awareness widens, you begin to sense how deeply this architecture intertwines you with others. The oxytocin that rises when you feel safe is influenced by the time of day. The serotonin that steadies your thoughts is nourished by light. The dopamine that gives you small sparks of joy leans quietly towards sunlight, even when joy seems unrelated to the sky. Your emotional world is a landscape shaped by a star, not dictated by it, but patterned by it, like a melody woven through the background of your days. You feel this melody in your chest, soft, steady, unhurried. It reminds you that you are not an isolated mind navigating a private world, but a participant in a shared rhythm that binds each living person under the same turning sky. The quiet grows warmer around you as though your awareness has become a small lantern glowing with the understanding that connection is not something separate from your biology, but something your biology was designed to nurture. And as this understanding deepens, you begin to sense the next horizon, a place where the story of the sun and the story of humanity meet not only in emotion, but in history memory, and the long collective arc of how societies rise, grow, and learn to see themselves in the light of a distant star. The stillness gathers once more, preparing you gently, quietly for what comes after this. The stillness around you settles in a way that feels almost weightless, as though the world has exhaled and decided to let the remaining quiet gather softly in your hands. All the rhythms you've wandered through tonight, the sun's breath, the mind's unfolding, the body's inner tides, the delicate architecture of human connection begin to drift together into a single gentle current that carries you without effort. Nothing presses forward now. Nothing asks you to think or remember or hold meaning tightly. The science that once felt like vast distances has softened into something close, something shaped to the contour of your own breath. A faint warmth lingers in your chest, not bright, not demanding, just present enough to remind you that the sun you explored in thought is the same sun that shaped your body long before you understood its influence. Its rhythm has woven itself through your day, your awareness, your emotions, your quiet longing for rest. Even now, its absence guides you with the same tenderness as its presence. You let that awareness settle. It feels gentle, like a hand resting lightly on your shoulder, steadying you as your thoughts loosen and drift toward the soft places inside that only reveal themselves when the world grows dim. In this dimness, your mind becomes spacious. Thoughts move slowly, as though the pathways within you have shifted from precision to a kind of peaceful wandering. Every detail you've held tonight loosens its edges until it becomes nothing more than a comfortable weight you no longer need to carry. The sun, the neurons, the circadian tides, the social warmth shaped by ancient light, all of it stands gently at the edge of your awareness, not asking to be understood anymore, only allowing itself to rest beside you. A softness begins to rise in your breathing. It spreads quiet and sure into your shoulders, into your jaw, into the small spaces behind your eyes that hold the last remnants of wakefulness. Your body recognizes this softness the way oceans recognize the pull of the moon, an instinct of returning. Science calls it parasympathetic activation, a shift toward calm guided by signals you do not control, yet always feel. But here in this slow hour, it feels more like the universe easing its hand from the center of your chest, letting you decide how gently you want to drift. Your thoughts lower themselves into an inner hush where images fade into color and color fades into nothing at all. There is no story to follow, now no lesson waiting to be held onto, only the lingering glow of everything you've moved through tonight. The sun's rhythm woven through your biology has led you here to a place where rest feels natural and belonging feels effortless. You are part of something ancient and endlessly patient, something that has been shaping life for billions of years without ever needing thanks. The quiet deepens, your breath slows again. You sense your body aligning with the gentle dark around you, matching its pace, its softness, its willingness to let the world fall away. If a thought rises, it rises lightly like dust, drifting in a sunbeam you no longer need to examine. If a feeling stirs, it settles again, as though soothed by the simple knowledge that nothing is required of you anymore. You are allowed to stop. You are allowed to rest. You are allowed to let the night fold itself around you the way light once unfolded inside your mind. Somewhere far beyond sight, the sun waits behind the curve of the earth, unhurried content, to let darkness offer you what brightness cannot, the slow quieting of every system that has carried you through the day. Your cells know this darkness. Your pulse understands its rhythm. Your thoughts lean into it with a trust so deep you rarely notice it happening. You are returning to yourself in the gentlest possible way. And as your awareness loosens even further, the science that surrounded you becomes nothing more than a soft hum beneath your breathing truth that doesn't need to be held, only felt like warmth fading slowly from the edges of your memory. There is nothing left to reach for now, nothing left to understand, only the quiet and the steady rhythm of your breath and the sense that the universe has drawn its curtains so you can rest undisturbed. Let the night take you the way a tide takes a small boat, slowly, tenderly, without asking you to steer. You have wandered far enough for tonight. The light will return when it's time. For now, this stillness is all you need. Sleep well, dream gently. Good night,